Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, the podcast where we bring you inside the world of joint ventures, strategic partnerships, and powerful collaborations. Whether you're looking to expand your network, find new referral partners, or scale your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Partnerships for Profit. I'm your host, Ana Del Rio, and this week we're joined by Erica Caviness, founder and lead coach of Thrive Concepts, where she helps law firms move from burnout to breakthrough. With years of legal and medical coaching experience, Erica empowers attorneys to lead with intention, resilience, and fulfillment. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today, Erica. How are you doing?
It's a pleasure. Thank you, Anna.
Great. Well, let's just jump right in.
Let's do it.
Go ahead and tell us, take a couple minutes and share your story, like where you're coming from, how you got into like this field and all of that.
Yes. So I'm very blessed. I've had some amazing roles with larger companies in coaching, training, consulting, and I really fell in love with the legal industry several years ago. And the making an impact, the concept of making an impact is very important to me. And one lesson growing up, I'm an only child. I lost my mother back in 2017. This is a critical part of the story, and I like to lead with that because really what I've created is really in honor of her legacy. And the biggest lesson she taught me was the difference between thriving versus surviving. So that's why I chose to, when I went out on my own, to call this Thrive Concepts, because my passion is helping others thrive. And, when it comes to us specifically in the legal industry, in law school, you're not necessarily taught how to run a thriving business, right? Actually, you're never really taught, to my knowledge. And it's something, we're having a third party who's really passionate about the business side and really passionate about building up a team and making sure the right numbers are in the right place and the systems are in the right place and moving smoothly. It's really important. And it's something that I feel like is overlooked. And there's so many great coaches, trainers, consultants out there, and I'm so honored to be in that mix and to work with some amazing clients. But the story is really centered in really honoring what my mom taught me growing up. And I'm really grateful for those lessons.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love that. So you've helped burnout lawyers rediscover purpose. What was your own turning point from survival to thrive?
Yeah. So again, being so blessed with, career opportunities in the past. And I've always wanted to build something where it was completely on my terms, right? And I could be fully in the driver's seat to really customize. That's a huge part of my heart, is being able to customize solutions for clients and really, call an audible here and there when I need to and make sure that they're getting exactly what they need. And it's that turning point for me, especially the couple of years following, my mother's death. It was something that was just burning in my soul to really take the leap. And the blessings that have followed that have been so tremendous. I'm really, I know I've said this several times already, but I'm so grateful. But that was really the turning point, is I need to do this. I need to do this to honor her. I know that it's part of my purpose. And some of the signs that I get are very clear that it's the right path.
That's perfect. So as far as the people that you help, I mean, I know that you're in the legal space, but could you give us a really clear idea of who your avatar is, who your clients are?
Yeah, absolutely. So law firms, entrepreneurial minded law firms who are curious. That's one of my mottos, is stay curious. One of the most dangerous things I feel like we as humans one of the most dangerous mindsets we can adopt is, well, that's just the way we do this. Or that's how we've always done it, right? You've got to stay curious. So I really have a heart and a passion for working with curious, entrepreneurial minded law firms who are wanting to grow and not just maintain the status quo, and really deliver an excellent client experience. So it's not so much about the size of the team or the revenue for me in terms of
Right.
my ideal client, but it's the mindset. And are you willing to get uncomfortable? Are you willing to have
Mm.
conversations? I spoke at this at a women's leadership conference that is absolutely near and dear to my heart this past September. The
Mhm.
difficult conversations, and I will die on that hill. It is essential if you want to truly grow and thrive. As you know, I have to practice what I preach, right? So
Absolutely.
that's a mindset that is needed, for me to be a good fit for a law firm. And again, I've been blessed to be able to create some wonderful relationships where it's just a natural fit, and we can really jive together and make some magic happen on the business side growth.
Oh, so cool. Okay. So why do so many high performing attorneys like hit that burnout?
Yeah,
Like,
it's a great question. They're
mhm.
so talented, they're so capable, they've got
Right.
all the tools, but many times they haven't really nobody has sat them down and forced them to define what success
Mm.
looks like for them, what their
Wow.
vision is, what their mission is, core values. Those are all cliche. I feel like they can sound like fluffy or buzzy terms, but
Mm.
they are real. When you're actually putting those into practice and you live and die by those,
Mm.
they're real. I've seen it, and you've got to have someone, in my experience, a third party, come
Mhm.
in and
Yeah.
guide you, sit you
Right.
down on Zoom or in a room with your leadership team. If you don't have a leadership team, that's another story. We need to start
Right.
slowly building one. But those, you if you get in the car, right, and you don't have a if you don't know where you're going, you just start driving. Who knows where you'll end up? So you've
Right.
gotta you've gotta have a destination, and you've gotta have a North Star. So that's something I'm very passionate about. And I think that the burnout happens when you are just grinding aimlessly, you might be
Mhm.
delivering amazing results. You might be getting millions, millions of dollars worth of verdicts and delivering
Right.
all 5-star reviews. But, in your soul, there's something missing. And it's often because there's not a clear mission
Mm.
and vision behind what you're doing.
I think this is a good point to where we can actually segue into, because I'm very curious about the people that you've helped.
Yeah.
So, what is a story, like some sort of testimonial of sorts, of somebody that that you have assisted?
Yeah. So with the mission and having the mission and vision, that's just one piece. You can have that, and they can be beautiful words on a plaque or on your
Right.
website. But if you're not doing the things to actually implement those and put those into practice, they're just words, right?
Doing the
So
things.
really
Yep.
where I go in and dig in is in the operations and leadership,
Mm.
and making sure that they have the right systems. These law firms have the right systems in place, the right people in place, in the right
Mm.
roles based on their strengths. I'm really big into
Mm.
operational strengths. I use, assessments that help us, you know and not guess and know exactly what we're working with. That's
Yeah.
really important. And one firm in particular I can think of, they were crushing it on the revenue side.
Mhm.
They were delivering great client experiences for the most part, but they were having a lot of turnover in their team, and their profitability wasn't necessarily where they wanted it to be
Mm.
in relation to their revenue. So we really just had to, roll up our sleeves and
Mhm.
really go through every process that they had and every system that they had, and what is happening. I would ask 3 different people, how do you handle
Mhm.
this? And I would get 3 different answers. So we
Right.
had to, all get on the same page as a leadership team. Fortunately, they had a leadership team in place. As I mentioned before, I always love also, though, the opportunity to build one from scratch with a firm. But
Mhm.
if there's one in place, and the example I'm sharing, we had to just dig into the weeds of what was actually happening, who's doing what, and
Mhm.
what happens next in this process, and what numbers are you tracking. What does great look like? What does success look like?
Right.
If that is not tracked and measurably defined, you're gonna live in a state of unclarity, which is not fun for anyone.
Mm-mm. So what ended up happening then? Like, what did you do in that process, and how did you help them?
Yeah, so we did basically a full audit of every single system. We created a new scorecard. We
Mm.
rearranged some seats on the leadership team and really
Oh, wow.
customize the roles for the strengths of the leaders. So it's
Mm.
not about, again, it's not even about the person not being a right fit for the team or
Right.
the firm. Now, in an extreme case, that might be,
Right.
it's a different conversation if it's a core value
Mhm.
misalignment. But in this case, it was more of an operational strengths and lack of clarity. So,
Mm.
some fine tuning there. It's very rarely a dramatic, uprooting of anything. It's more of that fine tuning and intentionality, I find. So we dug
Mm.
into that, and within a few months, I mean, their numbers were showing it. The margins were different, better,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
people were happier. I noticed that when we would get on our Zoom check-ins, the faces, the
You're
tone
right.
was much more positive. And there's really nothing better. It brings me so much joy. It
Uh-huh.
just never gets old when I'm able to play a part in that. And they're doing the work. I'm really, I'm the facilitator.
Mhm.
So all credit goes to them, but it's just a huge sense of joy to me.
Oh my goodness. So I'm curious though, like you were basically redefining their their roles in a sense. Is
In
that
some
what you were
cases,
doing?
yeah, it's more, the best term I can use is fine tuning,
Fine tuning. Okay.
more so than redefining, and just
Mhm.
making sure, okay, these are the list of accountabilities you have, right? And these are the metrics, the KPIs
Mm.
you're responsible
Mhm.
for, right? In many cases, that was assumed and not explicitly
Mm.
stated or in writing. So I mean, you would be surprised, or maybe, I mean, I'm sure you hear this all the time, but I'm still surprised. I've been doing this for over a decade. I'm still surprised as to how much getting things in writing is, how transformational that can be. And just,
Yes.
having a written, this is a role, this is my role. I'm in alignment with this role. This is what
Yes.
I'm responsible for. And it's the things we often assume can come back to bite us if they're not nailed down
Mhm.
in stone. So
How
it's really important.
how did you receive any kind of pushback out of curiosity being
Ooh, great
so I
question.
know that you're not like redefining, but
Right.
you're restructuring. You're basically yeah. What's their pushback? Did you
So, and
get okay.
that's a great question. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in this particular case, I was very lucky that there was not there. I definitely have encountered that in the past.
I would
And
imagine.
my biggest, and I'm so grateful for this. Some of the strongest feedback I receive is that I'm able to go in and help, firms without stepping on toes. And that is
That's
something that's really
big.
important to me. So I'm not afraid to have difficult conversations,
Mhm.
but I think having a very intentional pulse on the EQ of the situation
Mhm.
is really important.
Good.
And you've got to, again, going back to that customization, you've got to customize it to the firm. Yes, there are some non-negotiables that are, we're going
Mhm.
to talk about those and state those and proceed forward no
Mhm.
matter what. But the more you can handle that with the the higher level of EQ and handle it in such a way that they feel empowered. I When I go to bed every night knowing that my teams feel empowered and not like they're just checking boxes,
I love that.
that's such a sense of joy for me and a sense of relief, because I
Absolutely.
think we've all been in situations in our careers that we didn't feel empowered. We felt like we were just maybe checking boxes, and that's you can sustain that for a while, you can survive it, but is that your long-term solution to thrive, which again goes back to the
Mm.
what I'm so passionate about, and just never gets old hearing that feedback. But every
No.
firm is different, and we got to take it case by case. But I really enjoy the challenge, and I really enjoy the opportunity to win their trust.
That's great. You talk about turning stress like into structure. What's
Yeah,
one system every law firm should implement today to prevent chaos?
please have a scorecard. Please have a scorecard of some sort. Please have a set list of numbers that you're tracking, and that
Mm.
at any given time, right? That
Mhm.
you these numbers, you eat, breathe, and sleep these numbers. You know exactly where you're at week to date, month to date. It's impossible to be surprised, halfway through a quarter or a year.
Mm.
I'm saying that because I'll often go in and do, planning workshops at different points of the year for firms, and nothing has really been tracked. And it's, oh, I think we're
Mhm.
here, and this, I, you know, I, this is our average, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm.
But
Right.
If you really want to grow, you really want to elevate, and you really want to thrive, you've got to get in the weeds of tracking and have some kind of a scorecard in place. And
Yeah.
again, that can vary from firm to firm. That's my
Yeah.
number one tip.
I think that's a good one. A really good one, actually.
It's just I love how it takes the guesswork and facts versus feelings. That's another
Yes.
and that a mentor of mine, I didn't make that up. A mentor of mine, a long-term mentor of mine, has instilled that in me, and that is data. Data is
Facts
the
for
numbers do not
feeling.
lie, right? Now, and
Yes.
again, stay curious. We might need to dig and see what contributed to that. Everything, again, EQ. We can't
Right.
fit everything in a numerical box all the time. But if you don't have a basic scorecard and you don't have a strong pulse on the data, you will not be where you want to be typically at the end of any length of time, especially if you've been in practice many years.
Of course. So what's the biggest mind shift attorneys must make to move from managing cases to leading a thriving practice?
I'm gonna go back to that. Stay curious.
Okay.
And that is, and I'm preaching to the choir. I
Mm.
get stuck in ruts and routines all the time, even as a trainer and coach, and that is dangerous. You've really got to look at, what is the best possible outcome here, and look at different ways of possibly achieving that. Even if ways like the back of your hand to get there, there might
Right.
be another way, and just be curious, stay curious, and don't trap yourself into a box, rather.
Very good. So I have a big question for you here.
Okay.
How do you define thriving in a profession that often glorifies overwork? And what does it look like when a firm truly gets it right?
Oh, that's a great question.
Right?
So thriving it's an end of, again, you have to define what success looks like for you. And different law firm owners have different priorities. And, in this case, if it's, you want to truly grow and scale and increase your volume, maybe you want to increase your case value rather than the volume of cases. Maybe you want to be more of a thought leader and, be someone who is less in the weeds of the legal work and more, speaking to the concepts of growth in the industry and more of a CEO mindset. There's, numerous roles other than that, even that a firm owner can fall into, and it's up to them to find what resonates with them. But you've got to stick to your operational strengths, what comes naturally for you. If there's something you hate and you're not good at, there is someone who loves that.
Yes.
That same thing, right? So don't let that be a barrier. And I think thriving in this case means you've identified what your natural strengths are. What does great ultimately look like for your firm and your end game, right? What legacy do you want to leave? And
Ooh, I
then,
like that.
but legacy is, I think that's such an important thing. It's really, it's a special term to me for reasons I shared at the beginning of the call.
Right.
But it's up to everyone to define that. A coach or a trainer, a consultant cannot give you that.
Right.
They can inspire you. They can share best practices, but you've got to come up with that on your own. You've got to stick to it. So staying authentic, staying curious, to me, that's thriving.
Ooh, you're dropping bombs here. Yes. I love it. I love the nugget.
I love seeing those breakthroughs, and they happen at the most random times. They'll happen in text messages. They'll happen on live Zoom calls. They'll happen in an on-site workshop. And it never, I know I'm repeating myself, but it just doesn't get old.
No.
And I think sometimes people need just that push, that, that loving and gentle push, but this is a non-negotiable. We're going to follow through this at least for this amount of time. Right. And then we're going to look at the data. And if it didn't work, the worst we can do is go back to baseline. Right.
There you go. Yep. Test it out and figure it out. Right.
Exactly.
Only way that you're going to figure it out. Yep. Oh, this was so good. Thank you so much. So go ahead and tell everybody how they can find you, how they can get your help.
Yeah. So I'd love to connect. I'm on LinkedIn. Erica Caviness, Thrive Concepts is on LinkedIn. My email is erica@thriveconcepts.org. And I'd be grateful to to help anyone to whom this message resonates, right? And just, I love it. It really never gets old. And I'm so grateful for opportunities to share my story and share my heart.
Well, we love to hear the stories. So that was excellent. Thank you so much for sharing. If you guys like what you heard, if if it resonated with you, please go ahead, like, share, and subscribe. It was so great to have you on the show, Erica. And again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Anna.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Partnerships for Profit. We hope you've gained valuable insights on how to form profitable partnerships and take your business to the next level. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got a partnership story to share or someone you'd like to see featured on the show? Reach out to us. Until next time, keep building those partnerships for profit.